How's this? Are we working now? There we go. Okay, so let's address the rough start here. One, I was late because I was taking care of some legal stuff. I'm officially a free man today, so got back a little late. So there's that. And then apparently Streamlabs doesn't like what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't like going between computers. So I have the new office set up. I was gonna stream from there, but it's very boring. There's nothing on the walls yet. So I'm actually going to move that clock, that llama. You said I just hung it up right there. I'm actually gonna put that behind me. So I have some TH3D swag on there. So That'll get moved down there, and I got to find some stuff for the walls. So I had posted a quick picture of the desk setup down there in our customer group on Facebook, asking if anybody like knew of any, like, 3D printing style artwork, because I'd like to get some stuff to hang on the walls there. Obviously, I can print stuff, and I probably will. I know there's some wall art you can print, and I've got Bertha, which can do up to 20 by 20. So, yeah, I was looking for some like actual like real art to hang up down there. So if anybody either can commission stuff, if you guys know somebody or you are somebody that can do stuff, feel free to let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my fill light on. So I do have the camera and everything set up down there, and I made the mistake of not going with these arms downstairs. So there's I got the blue, my Yeti that was here. I fixed it yet again, and that's going to be the microphone I use for the secondary streaming setup. And I have a regular Stream Deck instead of the XL because I'm only going to have basically one camera, just my talking head one here. So, but the blue camera arm I don't like. I've had these Rode PSAs for, God, this one's probably 8 or 9 years old, and it's still, you just put it wherever you want it, and it just does its thing. You can use it for cameras. You see this camera is missing because it's downstairs, but I have another camera, which I think it's in the shop, which I'm going to ping Sean. Can you bring my package in from the shop that came yesterday? So I bought another one of those used. They're insane. I don't know if what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know if Sony stopped making these A6000. These are Alpha 6000 is what I use. I had 3 of them up here. One's downstairs, and I bought a 4th one. But I could not find one for more than like $800, which is insane because these were $500 when they were new. I picked up a used one with the same kit lens that I use here for $400, so I can't complain. But I was just surprised. So, anything. So yeah, dog updates. So we talked about. I'll talk about this briefly. So we had taken a dog in. We gave him a month to see how he'd fit in, and it just ended up not working out. But luckily, he went to a lady that has people home all the time, so they can work with him in terms of his anxiety. Like, he had extreme anxiety. I won't get into too many details, but there was a lot of poo whenever I left the house. So, but he's been great with them, so I'm glad he went to an actual home, because I'm not going to bring him to the shelter. And the lady I got him from would not take him back, even though she said, oh yeah, it's fine, try him out, see how he works out. And yeah, she just ghosted me. So whatever, found him a good home, and I'm happy. So I think Remo's enjoying all the attention again. You can see he's right here. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come on. Don't be shy. Touch. Can we touch? I know you know what that means. You being lazy? Come on, touch. Come here. Come. Look how lazy he is. So lazy. Come on, up. There we go. So we got Remo. We're gonna stick with just Remo for a while. So maybe in towards the end of the year or beginning of next year we'll look at getting a second pooch. But what? That yeah, this is my baby. You guys, if you look back at the streams about a year ago, you'll see him on here when he was just a wee little baby and he was in his pen. So he's about 14 months. So he'll be 14 months on the 29th. So, and we are already 95 pounds. Yeah, we are a big dog. So let's see. Yeah, I don't think you guys understand how big this dog got. Come here, buddy. Oh. Yeah. He's a chunk. He's my little doofus though. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe if you're good, you'll get a dingo stick. Do you like dingo sticks? Yeah. Do you like dingo sticks? Well, be good and you'll get them. Okay. So anyways, yeah, he's a good boy. He's also a mediocre security guard. So anyways, the chatbot's working. I'm gonna have to figure out how to manage the streaming from the same profile. So I use Streamlabs OBS, and I have two profiles set up, TH3D1 and TH3D-Basement, but it looks like it carries over all the audio settings from computer to computer. So basically, I last launched Streamlabs on the computer downstairs and tested it, and it was working. And then when I came up here, it just blocked out and just had no audio devices listed, which is kind of sucky. I don't know if I can find a workaround for that, but it looks like it's like a global setting for the audio devices instead of a you know, per profile setting, if that makes sense. So I'll have to see if I can figure that one out, but we will save that for another day. I'm trying to think of what I do have going on that's new. The test Ender 3 is here because I did some tweaks and tunes to the film and change routine to make it, you know, a little bit quicker and just a little more streamlined. So if you guys have downloaded that, we also patched a lot of bugs that came along with the Marlin 2093 update. So they messed up a lot of pin settings, and it's stuff that didn't break the compile. So I run through and do test compiles to make sure everything builds correctly. But an example was if you had a Creality dual extruder board and you were running it in dual extruder mode, the fan wouldn't turn on because the pins were messed up. So I had to fix that. If you had a Chiron and you updated to the new 2093 build, the heated bed would not heat because, again, a pin setting was messed up. There was also the ANET and Creality Melzi boards where sometimes the layer fan wouldn't behave as expected, so we put a temporary patch in there as a workaround that turns the fan fix option on, which then goes to a software PWM mode, and that works. I was going to integrate the patch that's in bug fix for that, but it's a timer issue, and all that timer code has been rewritten drastically. That's in the hardware abstraction layer, so I wasn't able to merge that in, but we do have a workaround. So by default, if you download the new one and we're having issues with your layer fan on one of the Melzi style boards like the ANET or the Crealities or the Anycubic Mega Zero, that's been patched. You just got to update the firmware and that'll be good. And then ironically, when the pins file was updated for our EasyBoard V2, I had tested on EasyBoard V1, the V2, the encoder direction was going the wrong way. So when you turned the knob to the right, instead of it going down in the menus, it was going up. And when you turn it to the left, it was going down instead of up. Yeah, so up, down, yeah. Anyways, that's been patched too. I realized that because this test printer right now has an EasyBoard V2 in it. And when I was testing the film and change routine, I was like, oh, that's backwards. So, and sure enough, I compared the code from the 2091 to the 2093, and the encoder 1 and the encoder 2 pins were flipped, so those got fixed. We also added in options for the BL touches, which we covered, I think, on the last stream. We were going over that for like the SKR boards and the Creality 4X boards. So if you're using that instead of the ZN stop, you can uncomment that option, and then it's going to tell it to use the onboard, the 5-pin header instead of 3 of those pins for the servo control, and then the other 2 being on your ZN stop. What else? I also tuned the filament sensor settings, so it should reduce false triggers, set a little bit higher of a threshold. So if you have, like, you know, filament going through and it just bounces the switch ever so slightly, it should ignore that and require it to be in a triggered state for a little bit longer than by default. The interesting thing is the value that sets that, it's like a threshold, is just a numbers, and is just a number, and by default it's set to 5. I found a value of 100 is pretty good for all filament sensors, even ones that, you know, will have a little bit of bounce to the switch. But the thing that is interesting is I actually can't find any explanation as to what that number itself means. All I know is it's some sort of threshold. I don't know if it's milliseconds, nanoseconds, millimeters of filament extruded. All I know is changing that setting reduces false triggering of the sensors in cases where people are having issues with that. So I wish I knew what that actually did instead of, you know, blindly changing it, but, you know, I can test it and see, okay, this one was false triggering, but now it's not after this change. Problem solved. But, you know, just me wanting to know what's going on, it's like, well, what does that setting do exactly? Am I making sense here? I am actually also running on Windows 11 on all my computers now, and everything seems to be fine. I don't know why people were freaking out. So my only complaint is the new start menu sucks. How many of you guys have been playing with Windows 11? I hate the new start menu. They combine, like, there's no labels on any of the icons, and the new start menu itself is terrible. Luckily, there is a program. It was like, there's two programs. There's one called Start 11 from Stardock, which I had, but they didn't have the option to show the labels on the taskbar. And then I found another one. I think it's called Start All Back or something like that. I think it's Start All Back. I've tried both of them, and I actually bought licenses for both, but they were like literally $5. So, yeah, but it's called Start All Back. So if you're on Windows 11 and you want to get your taskbar back and be able to get, the Windows 10, or even 7 experience, I definitely recommend it. I think it was for 2 computers. Start All Back is like $8.99, and one computer's $5, and then the Stardock one I think is $15 for 5. So, but it makes my life easier. So, yeah. But yeah, it's just annoying because when you have a bunch of windows open, it's all stacked on one little icon. It's like, come on, like we're regressing here. So let's see. I do have a couple of things. So I had posted about the entitled guy that was going off on us for not giving him free technical support on his SKR board. So we're not going to stop putting out firmware, but I did set up pages. If you guys do use our firmware on one of those SKR boards and it helped you out, we do have links on our website if you want to toss us a couple bucks. If you do, then you also will get the firmware in your download page on your TH3D account. So that's nice, and it'll always go to the latest link. We are still leaving the firmware on our regular site and in the GitHub. It's just if you want to kick us, a couple bucks, it helped you out because our firmware actually works, unlike the actual manufacturers. I will be adding pages for different boards and even different printers that are not our products. We will not have one for our own boards because we support our own products, unlike these other companies. But if we did, if our firmware did help you out, and you want to toss us a couple bucks, put into the caffeine fund, or my maw, which I actually got to order more, then that's where it'll go. So there we go. I also have one up there already for the Creality 427, and it's just literally you can type in whatever amount. If you want $1, $5, $10, $100, whatever. I doubt anybody's going to put 100, but one can only hope. So yeah, that's up there. I thought it was a good thing. It's whatever. It doesn't hurt to have anything up. If no one uses it, no one uses it. If they do, great. I don't know if you guys are aware, but we literally purchased these boards and printers just to do development. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make other pages for that because if it's up there and people use it, great. If not, it doesn't actually cost me anything other than a couple minutes of time to put it up there. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I'll even show you, like, it's pretty handy because, like, if you are tired of hunting for the firmware, like, because it's because it's in the help center or whatever. I mean, we have it pretty well organized, but if you want to get it quicker access for your board, let me show you, because I ordered it myself and I'm logged into my account. So if I go here, you can see here's my account dashboard. So I'm signed into my account. If I go to downloads here, it'll actually show right here. So I click this, it's actually going to go ahead and download the actual firmware, and this pulls directly from the latest files. So it's just a nice little thing. You can see here I have a couple of other things here. Also, I do want to note, we do have these in stock now, and if you guys had heard of the older 2020 version, the 2022 one is awesome. It's more, and I asked him, I was like, why is this one $35 instead of $20? It's twice as thick, and it's actually got full color pages. And then if you purchase it from us, it will also give you digital copies as well as images, high resolution images from the actual book itself, in addition to the physical book itself. So I really do think this is a really good resource. I actually have one downstairs in the basement office because Krista is using the Ender 2 Pro, and when she comes into issues, I'm going to have her look through here and see if she can troubleshoot the problem on her own. It's a very good book, and while ebooks are nice, especially if I'm like working on the printer, it's nice to have a reference, you know, especially if you're new, that you can physically flip through and pull it up instead of having, you know, scroll through your phone, you know, on a PDF or something. But there are digital copies included. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else new. Oh yeah, there isn't stuff new. This I forgot this happened over the weekend. So Creality, just like if you guys remember Big Tree Tech and their fiasco with those STM32 clones or knockoffs or whatever you want to call them, they are now showing up on the Creality boards, and I actually have, and I will show these here. So I have the receipts before everybody gets all pissed off, and you know, anybody who thought, oh, I just, you know, was getting on Big Tree Tech because I hate Big Tree Tech. Well, Creality, it's your turn now. So Creality boards are now showing up with the knockoff chips on them. These are pictures from Terrorist, Terrorwrist. He got an Ender 3 Pro from Micro Center, and he was posting in the TH3D Discord. It was like, I'm trying to flash this, and it's got a knockoff on it. So yeah, if you guys have these, you're kind of SOL right now. I did give him a $50 store credit to purchase either a 427 board or an easy board. I think he said he got an easy board in exchange for shipping this to me. So I will actually have one to test the firmware on, and I've already told Scott over at Marlin that these are showing up. And, you know, I guess it's up to the community, like every other goddamn Chinese company, to sort it out if people want to upgrade the firmware. So, you know, at least here it looks like they do put a little GD marking on the SD slot, and it appears that that the back of the board is actually labeled, noting that it's a GD. And obviously you can look at the processor, but I mean, this is getting nuts. Like literally, what is it, a month ago, we had the 422 and the 427 board showing up at the 256K STM part numbers. Now we have straight up clones. You know, we're just going to have to get them supported because these are not going to go away. As long as this chip shortage keeps happening, we're going to start seeing this crap. We already saw it from Voxelab and Big Tree Tech, and it just sucks. I'm curious to see if the firmware works as is. That's one of the reasons I got the physical board, because I'm going to try flashing our, you know, STM equivalent on here, which is the, you know, this is the RET6 variant. And, you know, they literally knock off the whole part number except for the first couple of letters from STM's. Like STM's equivalent, STM's version that they're copying is the STM32F103. Does that say 303? I just realized that. Because Big Tree Tech was using the F103s. So this is an entirely different family of processors. That's great. I just noticed that. I thought it said 103, but it's a completely different family of chips. That's even better. Oh my god. Let's see what this chip is. GD32F303. There is a GD32F103, which is what Big Tree Tech was using. So if we search for that, you can see there's the F103, which is STM's part number is the 303. It's weird that they're using a 303 because there is an STM, which is F3 series. There is an STM32 F303. If you guys are drone people, you'll notice those chips. They're STM32 F3 series processors. That's even better and probably going to take even longer to get supported because this is an entirely different, you know, family of CPU. How did I oh my god. Yeah, so there goes hopes of that just being possibly able to run the STM code. So yeah, we'll see how this goes, but I just want to make you guys aware of it. So if you have a GD chip, either replace the board or you're just going to have to hold your breath until either we figure out how to get it running on these chips stably or Marlin does, whichever comes first. So I cannot guarantee that our code or hell even Creality's code will run. Which brings me to the other thing. Creality's been slacking again on the source code, and I'm kind of tired of going after these companies to provide the source code because they are running Marlin. But if they provided the source code for these boards, because obviously they got the code working on these chips, if they shared the source code, which they're legally required to do, bound by the GPL v3, meaning if they send that board out to a customer, even if it's in a printer, they're distributing a code, they have to give the source code to, at the very least, the customer who requests it. So I'm going to actually ask that guy if he can request it from, I think Micro Center would have to provide it. And it's kind of good that Micro Center is the one that sold it because they're a U.S. company and they could actually have their feet held to the fire legally because if they don't distribute the code, they're the one that sold the printer, which is distributing the code. They could be sued. So maybe I should go buy an Ender 3 from Micro Center this weekend and see if it has a GD chip, because then I can go after Micro Center to get the source code so we can then get that code merged into Marlin and even our firmware to get it properly supported. But anyways, I'm actually getting kind of upset now that I think about it because if you guys remember, you guys might not, this is when I was still living in Illinois, so it was like 2017. Is there 2017 or 2018? Literally on April 1st, April Fool's, bad timing on my part, I posted a video, and I think it's still, let's see, TH3D. I posted a video calling for a boycott of companies that did not respect the GPL. And it is still up here. If you look on our yeah, it's 2018. So I'll post it in link, chat here. I posted this and we got source code from Creality, but I've noticed that as time has gone on, because nobody's been on their ass about it, they stopped providing source code. I think there's a bunch of printers that we're waiting on code from, and I just honestly gave up because I only have so much time in the day and I can't be fighting all these fights. So yeah, I'm trying to see if, okay, on their website, Creality firmware download, Ender 3 Pro, here's a Google Drive, Ender 3 422 427 firmware. Let's see if these are actually, let's see if they're actually putting the source code in here. So this is on linked on their website. Let's see. Ender 3 Pro 422 and 427. I think this is their reseller. No, Creality 3D official. That's their official website, if I'm correct. So this is not source code. Temperature hot end. Alrighty then. Let's see. This is a zip file. What's in here? Oh, a bin file. This is not source code. Okay, so that's not okay. Open source fills. Let's hope this is in here. Let's see. Ender Pro source code. This is from 2019. I doubt that this is going to be the source code. We're on a tangent now. But that's what we do. Let's see. Can we like, is this going to download? Oh my goodness. Download the file. There we go. Okay, let's see what's in here. I'm going to go ahead and exit Telegram because it's popping up messages. Okay, Marlin. Example configurations. Oh dear God. Yeah, this is not it. This is Marlin 1.0. Yeah, 2018. Yeah, so yeah, there's some open source fills there, but this is not it. Okay, let's see what's in the Ender 3. Here's open source files. Source Marlin. This is also 2019. This is probably the same one. I mean, this is the thing, like, if they just shared the source code, it would not be that big of a deal that they're using these knockoff processors, but because they are and they're not sharing the source code, now it's up to people like me or other people in the community that actually do the firmware work to have to basically redo all the work that's already been done, and they're using open source firmware. The whole thing about providing the source code is so that when you make improvements to it, you actually then are able to push back up to the main project, and then all those changes go out. And as a company using that code, them using it on their printers, it makes their products more attractive because people are going to tinker with them. So, you know, I think the tipping point of where I went after them was when Wanhao in general, because Wanhao was in my crosshairs, ANET, a bunch of them. As far as I know, Tronxy is the only one that still has yet to comply with anything, but Tronxy makes literal piles of garbage, you know, up there with two trees. So, you know, I just stopped buying their printers because nothing of value was really lost. But here's the thing, Micro Center, in terms of the GPL license, they are distributing that code when they sell the printer. It doesn't matter if they bought it from Creality, and Creality is the one who gave them the printers. They are actually legally on the hook. And why that's good is if somebody actually wanted to go after them, if a customer purchased that printer from Micro Center and has that, and they request the source code and they tell them no, they can legally be held responsible, and Micro Center is a U.S. company. So if anybody from Micro Center is watching this, you guys better get the source code from Creality. So, all right, let's end that. But the reality is I had some reservations about supporting those chips. One, because I don't believe they're going to be as reliable as the STM chips. There's a lot of threads. If you just don't take my word for it, go look up GD32 clone chips, and you'll find many threads from a lot of people using getting the GD32 chips on like blue pill type boards or other boards, and there's just a lot of weird compatibility issues, and things just don't work correctly or as expected on these chips versus the STM32s. And the thing is, ST actually maintains libraries that Visual Studio or Platform IO uses to actually compile for these boards. So the problem is GD or GigaDevice does not maintain them and keep them updated. So if you have one of these chips, really the only option you have is to use community provided code, or try to get the ST code running on the GD chips. The problem is, by the ST license agreement, you are actually not permitted to use their code on non-ST chips. So if I were to sell a printer with a GD chip on it with ST32 code, with ST code on it, I am violating the license agreement and I could potentially get sued. Now, are they actually going to go after me? Probably not. It's not probably worth their time. But it's just trying to stay within these agreements and making sure you're not, you know, doing things incorrectly where you could possibly get, you know, dinged. But yeah, so let's get into the questions. If you guys haven't picked up on it by the banner right here that tells you how to ask a question, you have to put !Q in front of your question. If you asked it when the stream first started and you didn't get a confirmation from the bot, then go ahead and enter your question back in. If you enter your question in more than once, I'm just going to skip over it and probably hide you from the channel. So please be respectful and only enter your question one time. If I have time to get to it, I will. So it looks like Mark Rouleau is the first question. He's asking about Clipper and the EasyBoard. So with Clipper, and this is in general, the EasyBoard V1 and V2 have config files in the Clipper repository that are made by community members. So the V1, I think actually Apulo, he's our resident Clipper expert, if I would say, in our Discord server. I believe he made the config file along with a couple other guys for the V1, and he just got the V2 one. I don't know if the V2 was officially merged in. He was waiting on, what's the word I'm looking for? He was waiting on the Clipper devs to merge it in, but on February 8th, he did do a pull request against the Clipper repository. It's number 5247, and there's a text file for the EasyBoard Lite 2 config. So you're free. You know, I firmly believe in, if you buy hardware, you can do whatever you want with it, even if that means, you know, breaking it with software. But our tech support will not be able to help you with any sort of Clipper setup with our boards because we don't support Clipper. The official firmware that we support is Marlin, specifically our Unified 2 version. So, but again, it's your hardware. If you want to take the leap and try Clipper out, go right ahead. But if you contact our support, we will not be able to provide technical support with Clipper. You know, it's the equivalent of, if you guys remember in the Android days before bootloaders and stuff were locked, you know, like if you rooted your phone and you're running a ROM from XDA developers, you can't call, you know, Samsung or HTC and get support with that software. It's the same kind of thing here, you know, because it's not our software. It's not the one that we've tested and proven. So we have to set that line where this is where, you know, our support covers and this is what our support doesn't. So let's see. So the next question is from Mark. He said, I'm trying to get unified firmware working on Ender 3 Pro with the 427 board, RET6 chip. Compiling flash is fine. It has the BL Touch board with the 5-pin. Uncommented the Creality 5-pin kind of get a Z end stop error. So let me check there. Maybe something didn't get merged in. I think that was one of the boards that we just updated the configs for. So is my I keep thinking I see it. Is my video like flashing white real quick, or am I just seeing things? Like is my like, I don't know if it's just something on my end, or are you guys seeing that where it's like a blip? If that's the case, I might have to restart. No, okay, it's probably just me then. All right, so assemble test file. Let's go ahead and do a quick compile. So 512K board. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna move. I don't know why I have my questions and stuff over here on my main monitor, because if I need to do a screen share, that kind of complicates things. So let's go ahead and move my windows around. All right. And I'll pull up the Livestream's Discord channel. All right, so let's see. So I'm going to pull up Visual Studio Code. And we're going to go ahead and open the test build for the 512K. And we're going to see if we can replicate this error. So no offense, but I don't actually test any of the BL Touch settings because it's not our product. So Ender 3 Pro with a 427. So that'll be Ender 3 427. We're going to go ahead and tell it we have a custom probe. Tell it we have we can just use the 1010. It's just for testing, so I don't need any actual offsets. We just need to test the settings here. So BL Touch and BL Touch on 5-pin. And this should set. There we go. So we're going to use Z probe for Z homing. And then it's not going to use the Z-min, or Z probe uses Z-min end stop pin. So that's correct. So is there a pins file that's broken from Marlin update? This will be like the 7th or 8th bug, if this is one, that has come about from Marlin 2093. They did a lot of changes in 2093 coming from 2091. So that file that would control this board would be the Creality V4 and then the 427. But I think all this has is a couple step and direction pins different. And then this should be using, okay, a servo 0 pin, which is PB0. And then Z-min probe pin PB1. Okay, so this is lit up, which is correct. So we're just going to let this go. Hang on, I think there's a couple sections here. Where's the 427? Yeah, so here's the 427 board section. So that's the Ender 5 427, or CR10 427 block. Where's the Ender 3? This is the Ender 3 427 block. So let's see. This should give me some feedback to make sure that we have the correct setting. So yeah, so if enabled, BL Touch on 5-pin, use Z probe for Z homing, and I was able to compile fine. So I'm not sure what you broke there, because this just compiled. We just did it live. 5-pin header for all the BL Touch pins, and we can tell that this is working. So if I do here split right, and this is what I like with Visual Studio Code, it will in real time update the value. So if I comment this out, this should then change the settings and use the so what I'm looking for, the Z-min instead of the BL Touch on 5-pin. So, and this is defined here. So PB1 is the BL Touch in, and then the out is PB0. I don't know if Mark is still watching here. Mark just got a bootleg chip. Mark, contact Micro Center and ask them for the source code and let me know what they say. I'm dead serious. Because you are entitled to the source code. So yeah, if you're getting an end stop Z error, then it sounds like you have something wired wrong. So your white wire, or what would be your white wire, should go to the in header on that board, and then the servo control, which is usually the yellow/orange wire, should be going to PB0. And if we like pull up here, 427. You probably have something wired wrong, or whoever made that cable for your board has something wired wrong, because you have your GV in and then your G and out. The out should be your control pin, so PB0, that's your control pin, and then your PB1 should be the in pin. Now, I'm wondering if their notes, I feel like I remember something where their notes are backwards on the, like the Marlin notes here, they have PB1 note as BL Touch in. I'm trying to remember, I have one of those boards. I don't think they're labeled on the back. No, they're not. And I remember this because there was something to do with the Easy Neo. So hang on. I'm trying to remember, because we have an article on hooking up. There we go, the 422, 427, 431, because I noted these. So in is PB0, and then out is PB1. So not Creality. Marlin's notes here are wrong. So PB1 is actually out, and PB0 is actually in. So yeah, because I remember looking at these notes and connecting the Easy Neo to the PB0 pin, which should just be an unfiltered signal pin, and it didn't work, and found out, oh, they're actually flipped. So I actually had to make this image here to correctly identify it. So the notes are wrong on here. So I'm actually going to update that and do a merge here, just so that those notes are in here. So I'm going to do this. Fixed by, because I thought I remember, I was getting deja vu with the pins in this board, specifically on that header, because for the Easy Neos, you just need a pin that doesn't have pull-ups on it in order for it to work correctly. So we're going to go ahead and just merge that in. So at least on my branch, things are properly labeled. And all I'm going to do is copy that over. We're going to save and close that. And then there we go. So basically then your in pin should be the control wire, and then your out should be the end stop connection. And that's about it. So yeah, it sounds like a wiring issue. And the easiest way to do is to test it with an M119. I don't have a way to hook up this printer really quick, but the M119 command is something you put in the console when you're connected to your printer over serial. So if you have a Raspberry Pi with Octoprint on it, or one of our Easy Pi setups, you can go ahead and go to the console, type in M119, and it will tell you the status of the end stop, and it'll tell you if it's open or closed. So if your BL Touch pin is deployed, it should show open. If it's up recessed, it should show triggered. So, but sounds like a simple wiring issue. Why am I not using the new PC and room to stream? Because it's boring. It's literally just a light blue background. That's all I have right now down there. Is just it's just a wall. And it would be quite boring. I feel like this room is a little more exciting, but eventually we'll get some more stuff in here. Let's see. Before anybody, if I see a question about flex plates, we are still a month out on those. I followed up with our supplier, and he is just still busy in terms of making plates. He's got a lot of orders, so it is what it is. Yay, delays. Richard Can said, I asked for help a few weeks ago about a flashcard reader on Ender 6. Turns out it was the actual reader problem. I bought a second Ender 6 and switched readers and it works. Yeah, layer 1 issues are very common. Let's see. Dimitri K. Hot end temp goes up and down randomly, get thermal runaway errors. Well, the best thing I could recommend is start with the simple stuff and check your wiring. Tell your printer to heat, leave the hot end in place, and just move the wires around and see if the temperature changes. If the temperature's changing when it's just sitting there, that could indicate that either your thermistor is going out or your board has an issue with usually the power rail. We saw this on some of the Creality boards and even some of the big Tree Tech boards where their 5-volt rail was unstable. So because the 5-volt rail was going like this, and the thermistors use that rail for their reference, the temperatures were also going like this because the voltage was fluctuating. So, let's see. Peter Anderson, every time where Creality firmware fails on auto leveling 7 times out of 8. I have an easy board and easy ABL way, but I need the time and money to mod them to work with my Ender 7. It fails auto leveling on this. I'm assuming that's on the Ender 7. That's a touchscreen with Creality's firmware. The question would be, did it ever work? If it didn't ever work, then it's probably either a wiring issue or firmware setup. But yeah, I can't really be helped there because I don't have that machine, and I know that's running that touchscreen. That's a pain. But I mean, we could probably assume it's probably just the sensor that you're using could be bad. Check all the connections and swap it out for a different one. Other than that, I can't really offer too much advice on that because it's not a printer I'm very familiar with. I think, someone correct me, I think those come with the CR Touch, like their BL Touch clone. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up, but Ender 7 isn't one I haven't had the privilege of messing with. Let's see, Madcat USA. How much will I need to change the firmware on my Ender 3 when I install the Easy ABL? Read the installation guide. It's only a couple lines. Make sure you actually, RTFM, so to speak. Because there's a lot of stuff, and if you don't do things correctly, you will not have a working product. The Easy ABL guide is actually broken up into sections with a table of contents. And then in terms of the firmware setup, you just tell it what mount you have. If it's a pre-set up mount, you uncomment that mount, upload the firmware, but make sure you do hit all the steps of the setup guide to get the physical hardware installed. The firmware is very easy. And the Easy ABL is not hard to install. It's just make sure you hit all the steps, because if you forget to calibrate it or you set it at the right height in terms of mounting it, you're not going to get the best performance. So Vince says, I just uploaded UFI 2 firmware on my KP3, not S. When I turn it on, it won't boot up till the SD card is out. I just sliced a G-code on it. No Robin.mini or Kerr. I haven't experienced that, but I'll make a note to test that. I do still have my KP3, my non-S. I still have my S, but it's not hooked up right now because I don't have a use for it. But let me pull up my my task list in Teams here. Where's Teams hiding at? Teams, Windows 11 moved stuff around on me. I'm trying to get it back to the state it was. Let's see, Teams, General, Tim's to-do list. Let's see. Oh wait, no, this is gonna go in my, sorry. I have a note, I have a to-do list in my wiki, and that's where I put the firmware stuff. All right, let's see here. Miscellaneous. Test KP3 with new firmware and see if it fails to boot with SD installed. That's a new one, and if that is a thing, that's probably yet another Marlin bug, which we'll probably have to wait for a patch, but at least I can test it and then report it and see. All right. Mark Lyon, I know this older one. What's the weekly rant? It was Creality using clone CPUs and not sharing source code. Titan says, my EasyML Pro requires calibrating the Z offset every day, sometimes between prints. Any clue why? So if your Z offset, is drifting, whether it's with our sensor or anybody else, I would recommend starting to look at your printer itself. One basic, very basic, make sure that whatever your mount and everything, make sure, like on our sensor, we have nuts that tighten it in. Make sure the nuts are tight. Make sure your print, your mount, it's usually a printed part. Make sure that's not cracked. Make sure there's not a lot of flex in it. Also make sure that as your head travels around the bed that the wires are not getting caught up or hung up or pulling on the carriage. The most common thing I've seen in terms of like Z offsets needing to be changed. Now, if you're talking about like 1 millimeters drift, and like I'm just using the term drift because that's what people refer to it as. I've noticed that on printers, like for example, my Ender 6, I rarely ever have to touch it. It's a very solid printer, but on printers like the Ender 3, sometimes I'll have to press the menu button and just baby step it. That's what that feature is there. So if you're talking about a very tiny, minute mount, like under 0.01, then I wouldn't worry about it. But you're saying 0.05, so the first thing is check your sensor's accuracy. So run the M48 test, which I'll pull the link up, and start there. So if you run the M48 test, that's going to give you an idea if the sensor is working well, because it's going to probe in one position, and that usually will help narrow down if it's the sensor or if it's the actual printer, because you can watch it. So basically, if your printer has a bunch of mechanical issues, meaning there's wheels that are loose, the belts are loose, or in general your frame is loose, the sensor's not going to perform well because it's only going to be as good as the printer it's installed upon is built. So if you have a printer that's got a lot of things that are loose or misaligned, wheels are not riding smoothly, it's going to completely throw off the accuracy of the probe. So the first thing to do would be check the M48. So you have that here. You said you got anywhere between 0.003 and 0.000814. So it's the sensor's reading correctly. I would definitely look at the actual physical machine. I've had many machines here where they were all over the place. I said, screw it. I rebuilt them and everything's been great after that. It's one of those things where sometimes the printer was just built, something's out of square and it's causing things to hang up. On the Ender 3, I don't know what printer you're running on, but like example on the Ender 3, these arms are very prone to becoming loose and then it throws off the accuracy. So, but in general, if your M48 is coming back good, then you want to start looking at the printer itself. The other thing too is to check and see if you are properly grounded on the outlet, because if you don't have proper grounding on the outlet that the printer's plugged into, then the sensor's also then battling with a bunch of electrical interference, and it's just not going to make things work very well. Let's see. But yeah, the M48, if your M48 was showing high, I'd say recalibrate the probe. But I probably wouldn't touch it. If you're getting under, you power the EasyML with an iPhone charger, I would get rid of that. Plug it, run the power directly from your printer power supply. We do have like the accessory power kits like the AC adapter, and I'm assuming you're probably using the USB adapter. If you're getting weird results, then just power it directly from the printer power supply, because depending on how your building is wired, and how just like things are on the circuit, you could get weird results running it off of a separate power supply. 99% of people are fine, but I think I have like maybe one printer that's running the EasyABL off of a power supply. I also use the power supply when I'm testing and it works fine, but I have seen weird issues. This was probably over a year ago where some guy had this weird IKEA LED lamp, and when the lamp was on, the sensor accuracy was all over the place, and when the light was on, his accuracy was all over the place and he had a lot of drift. But then when the light was off, it was fine. Really weird stuff. Electrical gremlins are a lot of fun, but the easiest way to isolate that, if it could be a possible electrical problem, is like we include the power cable with every single EasyABL kit, and if you lost it or don't have it, you just need basic thin wire. Anything from 22 gauge up to 18 will fit in the terminals. Just run it off the printer's power supply. It'll probably be a lot better. you know, because there's just these weird fringe cases where, you know, there's other stuff on the circuit that could be affecting it. Whereas if you're powering it all off the same one, your printer's power supply's got capacitors to go ahead and smooth things out. The Easy ABL itself has stuff to smooth it out, but there's just weird gremlins with how things are wired that can cause issues. So I would recommend, if you're positive the printer's physically built well, try powering the Easy ABL off of your printer's power supply and see if things get better. I have a feeling they probably will, especially off of a phone charger, because here's the problem with people powering things off of chargers. They're not a power supply. They're a charger. So the phone chargers typically have circuitry in them that will vary their output depending on if the phone is done charging or not to save on power. So when you're using a charger instead of a power supply, you could get a lot of weird issues. So the Easy ABL doesn't pull much power, but I would not recommend using a phone charger. Like those adapters are intended for people that don't want to have the power brick or wire to their power supply and to power it off of like your Raspberry Pi's USB port, because that's a constant 5 volts. That's not a charger port. So knowing that, I would probably say if you wire directly to the power supply, it's not hard. I know some people are intimidated by it. Just take your time. Make sure you get positive and negative correct. We do have reverse polarity protection on the board, so even if you wire it backwards, it's not going to do anything. It just won't turn on. But just, it's 2 wires. Go to your power supply, slip them under the terminals, and put them in, and I think that'll probably do it. But yeah, there's a lot of people, if you guys ever mess with Raspberry Pis, that's why they tell you don't use phone chargers with Raspberry Pis to power them, because they can throttle down their output to try to save power as the phone's coming to a complete charge. They just don't run as intended. They're chargers, not power supplies. There's a difference, you know. The best way I think of to explain it, you know, think about a charger for your car's battery. You know, it's got circuitry to make sure it's not overcharging and then slowly ramp down the output as the battery comes to full. Phone chargers do the same kind of thing. Whereas if you have a 5-volt power supply, it's a power supply that's always putting out a constant 5 volts, regardless if the device is pulling, you know, 0.5 amp or 3 amps. It's going to put out 5 volts. It's not going to scale back its output or do weird stuff. So, let's see. What will cause my Z-axis to remain open after installing Easy ABL? You probably need to flip the switch. If you look at this is assuming you checked all your wiring, but if you look at the installation guide, there is a little switch. We call it the Easy switch. I don't have a board readily available. Maybe I do. Maybe? What do you think, Grandma? Do you think we have one? I don't think I have one available right now. Oh wait, I lied. Here we go. This looks like a bag of returns. I usually always have one floating around here until I use them on a printer build, which I used one on Chris's printer, but there we go. So if you look at the board, you see a little switch right to the left of the 3-pin header, the 3-pin JST and the 2-pin terminal. This little guy you can just flip, and this reverses the wiring on the ZN stop header. So the opto isolator that we use on here only lets the signal flow through one direction, and on the older Easy ABL kits, if you weren't getting M119 open or closed, or open or triggered, you would have to flip the wires going into the board, or if you had a 3-pin cable, you would have to pop the pins out and flip them. This allows us to do this, and you guys just flip the switch. So that's usually the cause. The other thing is I have seen instances where if you're using the 3-pin plug, the plug isn't seated all the way, and I've also seen people for some reason connect from this board to the ZN stop switch instead of from this board to your printer's control board. So if you're installing the Easy ABL, this replaces your ZN stop switch. The only printer it does not replace the ZN stop switch on is the Anycubic Chiron. Every other printer, this board replaces your ZN stop switch, and you should just get rid of them. So Mad Cat, thoughts on running a Raspberry Pi 4 straight from the GPIO pins instead of USB? Chris's basement posted a video, but he was using a Big Tree Tech board. I'm assuming you mean for the serial. I don't see why it wouldn't work, but I just use it over USB because I look at it this way. The USB port's going to be a little more resilient if you do something stupid. Hang on, I am banning this spammer here. There we go, banned permanently. Bye. Yeah, so that's my recommendation. I wouldn't mess with it. What you're kind of, I mean, you're bypassing the USB to serial converter, but it's not really going to matter in my opinion. I mean, do what you want. There's, you know, it's one of those things where there's multiple ways to, you know, skin a cat, or it's going to go, what's the saying? I don't know. There's multiple ways of doing the same thing, you know. And that's one of those things. So do whatever you like. Just make sure you don't fry anything, because Pi boards are still hard to come by. Nemo Grift, is it okay if I leave the SD card formatted for the screen firmware D1 Ender 3v2 with a board of no problem reading slice files? It should be fine. I've actually just gotten into the habit of formatting any SD cards I use for firmware flashing on any board, whether it's my board, Big Tree Tech's, Creality's. I just get in the habit of formatting them all as FAT32 with the 4096 allocation byte size, because I've noticed I just have less compatibility issues. I don't know why. It's just an observation. So, Mark Lyon, oh, you'll do the testing if you need it. Mark, join our Wait. You have a Marlin build that you use and it works. Yeah, Mark, are you on our Discord server? I definitely want to chat with you because I want to see what's going on with those. Mark, join our Discord server and post in live streams. So in our Discord server, I'll show you guys. If you guys are not on our Discord server, I don't know why the hell not. You wouldn't be, but you should be. I have this channel up here when we're streaming. So if you guys want to share a photo or something, you can go ahead and do that. You know, like, I don't know, I'm just going to go on my downloads folder. Like, here we go. It's just one of the photos. So, like, you can share a photo with me, and I can pull it up on stream because YouTube's not going to let you share photos or links. So, but this is also how I get in touch with people. So, Mark, join our Discord server and just post, like, hey, it's Mark, and then I'll send you a message. Because if you're willing to test it out and you have a build that works, that at least gets me started, and I can start working on something, and then when that board shows up here, I can then get started on getting the firmware properly set up. You know, I was like, no, we're not going to support these clone processors, and now I'm just like, whatever. We're just going to do it because it's not fair to you know, it's not people's fault for getting these chips, and I hate them going to waste, so whatever, let's see if we can get them to work. Oy vey, so much stuff. Lyle, hey Tim, I want to get your easy board, but I also need the dual cable LC adapter and would like to get them at the same time as up here in Canada stand. Any idea when they become available? Last I checked was 2 weeks ago, and I was told 4 weeks, so I'm assuming about 2 weeks. We do have a decent amount of easy boards. We don't have a ton of them, but what I would do is place the order for the easy board now and put a note to hold it, and then send our support team a message saying, hey, I just wanted to basically put a board, get an order in for a board, put it on hold, and then when the board, the LCD adapters come in, send us a message on our support system, because I've got a bunch of them coming in. They're not going to sell out very quick because we have hundreds of them. And then they should be able to give you a code to do a combined order. We don't like doing combined orders a lot, but in a situation like this where the easy boards, you know, we're having a hard time getting them, we can make exceptions. So basically, buy your easy board now, put a note on the order, say, you know, hold, place order on hold until the dual cable LC adapter comes in, and then let our support team know. Just send them a ticket, and they can just mark the ticket as pending, and then they should be able to send you a code, because we have like it's a coupon code that enables combined shipping. We don't like I said, we don't like doing that a lot, but in situations like this, we do have that workaround. So, Vardy, can you put pressure on the couriers to get shipments to NZ sorted? They don't give a shit about me. Yeah, I wish I could, but the reality is we're small potatoes. Even though we spend like 20 grand a month in postage, they don't give a crap. I'm literally a nobody to them. So, I'm surprised there's no more questions. Because there's only a couple more. You guys, okay, I see questions. You guys have to put exclamation point Q in front of the question, or I'm not going to see it. Please do that. Please, please, please. I set the bot up. Please use it. So, let's see. Kelly Taylor, I've been told I can use my PS4 to phone as a scanner. No idea where to start. I'm very tech and person, still learning all this printing stuff. Thank you. I wish I could give you advice. I have a Xbox Connect, like one of those old Connects. And I still haven't even messed with it. Does anybody in chat have any idea about scanning with a PS4 and a phone? I think the iPhone has apps. I'm sure maybe Android has one now, but I know you can scan with your phone. I wanted to play with the Xbox Connect one. It's just I only have so much time in the day. Tommy O, what's in the box behind me? That's the Ender 3S1 that you guys have all been pestering about for the last, like, what, 3 or 4 weeks now? I bought one. You happy? I'm going to do firmware for it. Hopefully it's not too much trouble. Or, well, I was like, let me open it up and see if it's got a clone processor, but, yeah, here. There we go. I also have one of these. This has been sitting here since June 24th. Hang on. I also have an SV02 and a i3 Mega S in the garage in the box. But I think this will be our next one that we do a video on, because I'm actually excited about this. Where the hell is the label? This is the Atom Stack X7 Pro 50 watt laser. So I've got a lot of products to unbox. These I purchased along with the other two. This was sent to us, so I got to do this first. Can someone please clone me? I can't do all this by myself. I need at least one more Tim. Spencer, I see you in the chat. How about you come out, Spencer? You can be my buddy to help me. Oh my God, Spencer's in Illinois. He's not that far. I think it was like an hour and a half. He came and took my Sidewinder X1 and got it out of here. Anyways, let's see. All right, back on track. We got a little sidetracked there. Yay, ADHD. Johnny5 says, I've got the Ender 5 Pro TH3 firmware, easy ABL mount, and solid bed mounts. I can't get it to level prints. Sorry, you're giving me an aneurysm trying to read this sentence. And can't get it to level of prints good in the front of the bed. I can get it to... Hang on. I can't get it level. Prints good in front of bed, but bad in back of bed. Can you help? Okay, so typically... and this is usually going to be a mechanical thing. Anytime somebody has issues with the Easy ABL or any probe, run the M48 test. and start there, because what the M48 test is going to tell you is, one, if the probe is working and calibrated correctly. If your M48 test results are showing anything above 0.01, then go back and recalibrate the probe and make sure it's mounted correctly. Calibrating meaning it's going to be not only mounted correctly, but also the adjustment screw on the side. If you are getting a good M48 result, usually if you have what's called a slanting bed result, where it's closer in the front and higher in the back, or higher in the back and closer in the front, or slanted left to right, it could be any direction, that's usually due to a mechanical issue on the printer. On the Ender 5, since that's like, the Cartesian cube style, something like that could be related to either your belts being over tightened as it gets to the more extreme ends of the front or the back. So that would be your Y. If the belts are too tight, it can pull down on the plates as it gets towards the rear and then skew your results. So again, the probes are only going to be accurate, our probes, BL touches, whatever, as the machine that it's installed on. So if you got mechanical issues that are skewing the reading, the sensor is taking that reading and it's going to take that skew in with the reading, and then when it does the compensation is going to be incorrect. So Steve Kinnard, what I look for on the main board to see what CPU I have. Look at the processor and they're all roughly in the same area, but the processor is usually the biggest chip on the board. Here's our board. This is the processor. They usually look like this. Just look for the biggest processor or biggest chip, and that's usually your processor. And look at the numbers and markings on it. So, Rob, do we have a BigTree SKR E3 Mini V3 firmware for the Ender 5 Plus using the stock BL Touch, say with 5 and 5 Pro, but not the Plus? So, I have not done any firmware for any boards for the Ender 5 Plus other than the stock board and our easy board, because the Ender 5 Plus has a touchscreen. We don't do anything with those touchscreens because they're very limited, and you can't do as much. So like when you put an easy board in the Ender 5 Plus, or you put our firmware with the stock board on the Ender 5 Plus, we require that you have the LCD kit installed, which replaces the stock LCD with a standard 128/64, and I probably have one of those laying around here. Yes, I do. I always have one laying around with one of these style screens. I think our 5 Plus kit actually uses the red rep style LCD screens, and I believe we're out of stock on both those. Are we out of stock on all the LCDs? I think we're out of stock on all of them right now, right? I think we are. Yeah. I do have Creality ones on order and the rep ones. We should have those in about 2 weeks. I actually had to hit up multiple suppliers instead of my one usual one that I get them from. This is the camera.
I know, that was the one that was in the box there.
Oh, I didn't even look in the box. I'm sorry.
I'm like, dude,
this came from a pawn shop on eBay, so we'll see. We'll open it and see, because I stole this one here for the setup downstairs.
Okay.
So I'll be done in like I don't know, about 10 minutes here if you want to work on your speakers. You got something going on.
Yeah. No.
Right.
I gotta grab that printer out of my car.
Okay. So. You can say hi too. I'm talking to Sean. He's our print farm guy.
Can they see me?
You gotta come like right here. So say hi to Sean. If you got ABS parts from us, or received an order, Sean probably touched all of them. In an entirely professional manner. So yeah. Anyways, so back on topic, the Ender 5 Plus with the SKR Mini. So that board could be made to work with it. The thing is, it would have to have the LCD conversion. So if anybody be interested in that, it wouldn't be too terribly hard for me to port that code over, because I already did it with our easy board. I'll just make a note, because occasionally I'll get times where things are slower and I like to mess with the firmware, and I could always do a thing where, hey, you can use this, but one, that printer's going to need the dual cable LCD adapter board, the one we sell for the easy board. It'll actually work on the BigTree Tech board. It works actually on the Creality 427 boards as well. It basically converts this single header here, so your single LCD header, to be able to use LCDs that take the two cables, so your EXP 1 and 2. So that little board allows you to connect those wrap style screens to our easy board and various other boards, and it works on other boards because our easy board uses the same LCD pinout as a Creality one. So I was checking to see if I had one of the rep style ones to kind of show you. But like another board that, or another LCD that would work, it's not going to fit our printed parts. Our printed parts for the LCD conversion kit use not the Creality screen, but the rep ones. So, anyways, but yeah, I'll just write a note here. So Ender 5+ support for, yeah, let's just make a note for the 427 boards and SKR E3 Mini series with TH3D LCD conversion kit. So I'll just put that in there, and if I get bored, we can do that. So, all right, so Vince is saying, also the newest version of Marlin Color UI doesn't work anymore for the Robin Mini and MKS TFT. I have the new build on my KP3 and it does work. I can't vouch for standard Marlin. So I do want to talk about this, and don't take this as me, dunking on Marlin or shitting on Marlin. Marlin's a great firmware, but they break things a lot when they do updates, and it's mainly because we can't expect them to test every single build and every single printer version, because they're covering such a wide gamut of boards and printers. It's the same way like we do so much testing and then we rely on people to feedback, oh, hey, I updated and this isn't working, and then we address those issues as they come up. But one of the benefits of using our Unified 2, which is built on top of Marlin, just, I want to reiterate this because there's a lot of idiots out there that like to be like, oh, they stole Marlin. One, it's open source. Two, I'm very clear, it's built on top of Marlin. So Unified 2 is Marlin, but Marlin is not Unified 2. Unified 2 is our way to easily allow people to get running with an updated firmware without having to know every little setting. So basically it reduces the learning curve to just uncomment a couple options, tell it what printer you have, what upgrades you have, instead of having to learn every little setting. And the thing is, we try to make sure that all the configs work after updates, and that's why I keep so many different printers around, is because, especially ones that are more unique, like the KP3, that's a little touchscreen printer that's driven off the LCD, and it's one of the few touchscreens that actually can be controlled by Marlin. And that's one that did have a bug from Marlin 2093 that I was able to resolve. But that's one of the benefits of using our firmware over standard Marlin, is we do typically get things fixed a lot quicker than Marlin does. Justin Ibel asked in Discord, asked here, what's the largest format PLA printer you have? That would be my Chiron and Bertha, so like 400 by 400 by 500 machines. I have two of them, so I don't have anything bigger than that. Artifact, can I connect two 400 by 400 build plates to one motherboard to get an 800 by 400? I'm using Octopus and two Chiron heat plates and aluminum sheet, and safely. So yes, you could. What I would do to achieve that, if I was running, if you want them addressed as one bed, I would just come with two external MOSFETs off of the, so you got your your heated bed output MOSFET, your two positive and negative outputs on the motherboard. Just connect two MOSFETs in parallel and drive one bed off of one MOSFET and one bed off the other MOSFET, and they're going to get heated together. Now, the only thing then is the actual thermistor readings You either then would put just one thermistor on one plate and another on the other, or have one kind of in the middle in between, or just if you fire them both up and be like, okay, they're within a degree or two of each other, use like a thermal camera or like a infrared, one of the little infrared gun ones. If they're close enough, you're probably fine just putting the thermistor on one of them if they're within a degree or two of each other. I don't think you could hook them up you definitely can't hook them up in series because that's going to double the resistance in terms of thermistors, and putting them in parallel would have it. Well, it would have the, that's what I'm looking for. It would have the resistance. So yeah, you're basically limited to one thermistor, on there to read both, but I'd probably just put one thermistor on there, tell them both to heat to 60C, take a thermal camera and be like, okay, what are we at? Okay, this one's at 59, this one's at 60, close enough. Especially if they're the same exact bed. Dude Blight 89 says an anti-backlash not recommended for user with dual Z kit for the Ender 3. It's not needed. If you wanted to put one on there, you would only put it on the side that's actually being driven by the motor, not the other side. That's the passive side that's being driven by the belt. Let's see. Podog is asking about the CR6 SC. Was a good VREF for dual Z running in parallel mode. I would bump it up by like 0.2 volts and then check to see how the torque is on the motor. And what I mean check is by lock the motor. So bump it up a little bit, lock the motors, and then take your hand and move the couplers. And if it's really hard to turn, you're probably good. And then just make sure the motors aren't running too warm. Too warm being like 50C or higher. And then if you grab them and they break loose really easily, you probably want to go up another 0.1 volts until they actually hold position. So if you grab them, it's really easy to turn them, like the motor's not even on. You're probably running too low and you're going to have step loss. The way to engage the motors and get them to lock is just tell the Z to move up or down, and that will then engage the motors for at least a minute. It really depends on how the firmware's set up, but most firmwares are set to lock the Z motors for at least a minute after their last move. So, and this will be the last question. Or sorry, Hybotics slipped one in. I'll let you get it. Hybotics missed the answers really quick. Do you have a higher temperature thermistors for the hot end? I do not carry high temp thermistors. And Ken Cunningham, I have an older Ender 3 with a Melzi. When I fire it up, the temp shoots up to 260, but the target temp reads 0. Have you heard of this happening? So it could be one of two things. One, if your IO pin received a short, like if you were in there with a wire brush or pliers, if it just instantly reads 260 and the hot end's not actually at 260, then your board's basically screwed. The processor's cooked. Replace it. If it just starts creeping up, like from room temperature to 260, it sounds like the MOSFET for the hot end is just stuck on. And again, I'd probably just replace the board. Because if the MOSFET's bad, it's really not worth fixing. You can replace it with a 427 board. From us, we've got those in stock. Did you guys finish going through those boards today? Okay. Were there any of the 256K chips?
Yes.
Yeah, there were a couple.
Yeah.
I know, like, I went through 10 of them. You guys see that I labeled them?
Yeah,
I went through
like 8 or 10 of them or something.
Yeah, there's 10 of them that were the 512K. So if you guys are looking for the 427s, we got at least 10 of them in with the 427 with the 512K chips. Or if you want to go for broke, we do have the easy board. So, yeah, I'm just checking here. So we stock both of them, and unlike other sellers like Amazon, it's not a lottery of if you're going to get one, a genuine processor, or two, what memory size. You select which one you want. We carry both the 256K and the 512K. And we also provide technical support. So if you buy a 427 board from us, you will get technical support with it. That's why it's more expensive. So the 256K is $64.99 and then includes tech support. And then the 512K is $69.99. So $5 more for double the memory. So, and we do have both in stock. So if you guys are looking for a 427 board, that's my recommendation for an alternative to our easy board. If you're looking for something that's just, a cheaper board that gets the job done and you don't need all the bells and whistles. So, and Dan Adams, are we going to Murph? We are. I literally posted about that on TH3D. So if you guys are wanting to go to an awesome 3D printing convention, Murph is where to go. And that's going to be, I think, June. Let me just check. I think it was June 24th, 25th. Hang on. Got to go to Facebook because I shared it today. June 24th to the 26th. So this will be their 10th year. So we had a sponsorship that we didn't use from 2019, and then 2020 didn't happen, and 2021 was just very bad. I wish I did not waste our sponsorship on that. But yeah, we will be going. We're actually planning it, and I'm gonna give a shout out because I'm very proud. This is a print Krista did all on her own on her little Ender 2 Pro. I did not help her at all. She sliced it on her own, got the print going on her own, and yeah, came out pretty good. The printer print's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically stock. Like, we got some stringing here, but like, in terms of like performance on the hot end side, it's stock. Like, it's stock layer fan.
Good.
Like, it's just got our metal extruder and tough tube.
Yeah, it's fine to me.
Yeah. So, but I did not make her suffer with manual bed leveling. I did hook her up. She's got the Easy ABL Pro Micro on there, one of the prototypes. I saw somebody asking about that. This is a PO here from my manufacturer that's using them with all of our stuff. So fully shielded cables, 4-pin, the 4-pin Molex like we have. So I have 50 of those coming in. We're going to run those all through testing to make sure they all are performing like the prototypes were. If they are, they're going to go on the site. They will be about $5 more than the 18s and the 12s because they do cost more to manufacture. But if you're looking for something that's super tiny and again, no moving parts and very accurate, we should have those. So and those will be done in a small batch. And if we do get a high demand, like we sell out for them, I'm going to order more. So. But I just want to have it as another option, even though it's a little more expensive than the other ones. We're not discontinuing the 18s and the 12s. We're adding the 8mm in addition to the 18s and the 12s. So you'll just order from the same page. So we'll have the 18, 12, and then the 8s. And then if I got to find out, I don't like selling sensors separately, but I'll have to talk to the team if they think it's worth having like kind of a permit, like a permissible thing where if you already have an Easy ABL Pro kit and you just want to change the sensor out to the smaller one, maybe we figure out some way to do that so you're not having to buy another control board and stuff. The only thing that would complicate that is the warranty and technical support, because that would be tied then, the warranty would be tied to the sensor itself, but the technical support would go along with the full kit. Like that's where the complication comes in. So anyways, I'm going to give Remo his dingo stick because he was... I was about to say you're a good boy, but it looks like you took a towel out of the trash. Or was that just there? I don't know. What do we think? Were we a bad dog? Did you do that? Who did that? Who did this?
He said Sean did it.
Hey, Remo. Who did this? He is all the way in the garage. I guess you don't want a dingo stick then, do you? Did you do this? I can't be mad at him for too long.
Jeez.
His love of dingo sticks is more than his fear of getting yelled at. Just watch. Like, if I show him this. Hey, Remo, who did this? But do you want the dingo stick?
He didn't leave it.
He didn't leave. You can
He's
see
like
me.
standing here watching.
Remo, did you do this? I'll stop fucking with him. Remo, come here. I know.
Come right back now. He's like, ooh, dingo stick?
Okay, sit, shake, speak. Good boy. All right. I hope you guys had a good time. I'm gonna help Sean fix his clip speaker system. I suspect it's the little 25 watt by 25 watt amp chip is dead because one of his channels are gone. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you guys want to get notified when we go live again and don't want to rely on YouTube notifications, hit the YouTube notification sign up link below in the video description. If you guys want to support what we do have, like I said, those donate buttons or donate links for the SKR boards. I'm going to be adding more. So if our firmware helped you out and you don't need to buy anything from us, you want to just toss us a couple bucks for some beer money or caffeine money, it's much appreciated. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys all on the next stream, which will at the very latest be next Wednesday. We do these every Wednesday around 4 p.m. We try to be on time, but today I had a bunch of stuff going on. But anyways, I will talk to you guys later. See you on the Discord server. And as always, happy printing. And Mark, if you're watching, ping me in Discord so I can work with you to test that knockoff chip. Talk to you guys later.